Here at AutoZone this morning, gonna pick up some oil and a filter, head on base to the auto hobby shop to change the oil in my 2007 Toyota Prius. This is something I do on a regular basis every 4,000 miles for my car because it has so many miles on it. 279,371 miles. So come along with me today as I do that. We'll save some money. See, they got the military discount for active duty veterans and dependents. That military discount is actually really nice because not all businesses give veterans the same discounts as they do for active duty, but this place gives it to all three: active duty, veterans, and dependents. I got the Valvoline 5W30 high mileage oil. My car's got a ton of miles on it, so I did want to get that high mileage protection. There's a lot of arguments about whether it actually does anything, but in this case it was actually cheaper than the normal synthetic oil. S4967XL oil filter. So that's going to be the higher end store brand filter for AutoZone. I like to use the nicer products. Again, there may be some disagreement about the effectivity or the expense of paying that extra money, but I have put so little money into this car that it doesn't really matter to me to pay that few extra dollars for the peace of mind of a solid oil change, especially because my car burns a little oil. So let's head over to the auto hobby shop and get it done.
So the first time you show up as a customer at the hobby shop, they'll ask you to take a little safety quiz after you read their safety book. After this, they'll give you a card showing that you've taken the quiz, so you don't have to take it every time you go. This just shows them you're safe enough to work on your car without hurting yourself or anyone else. Here's a photo of the prices that I took. $10 an hour for a bay with a lift, $7 an hour for a bay with no lift. If you're renting a bay with no lift, you'll still get a jack and jack stand, so you can still get underneath your car if you need to. Just not all the bays have lifts in them. The only price I would say on here that's kind of a scam is $25 for a code read, because unless they're doing some kind of really high-end read, you can get your codes read for free at any auto parts store, so I wouldn't do that one necessarily. But other than that, very, very reasonable prices. So this is what the standard box is going to look like at the spot when you get to it. Every spot has a box like this for basic tools, plus you can go up to the window for more advanced tools if you're doing brakes or an engine or something like that. You're going to have sockets, metric and standard, with both 1/2 inch and 3/8 drive sizes, ratchet drivers. You're also going to have crescent wrenches, both metric and standard, in these next two drawers. And then finally in the bottom drawer, you've got an air gun. They got shop air at all the spots, as well as some different types of pliers you might need for various jobs. Additionally, on top, you're going to have extensions for both those 3/8 and 1/2 inch drivers, and a flathead and Phillips screwdriver. So once you get the car lifted, grab one of these oil catch cans and drag it over underneath your oil pan. You're going to want to have this extension here because you can see the drain plug right there in the oil pan on the bottom. That oil is going to flow out rather forcefully at the beginning, so you want to make sure you have some horizontal coverage to catch the oil from the beginning to when it's a drip at the end. Now your first step when changing your oil should always be to remove the oil fill cap from the top of the engine block to make sure you can get that off and it's not stuck. After that, I'm going to be using a 9/16 socket on this 1/2 inch ratchet driver to remove the oil drain plug from the bottom of the oil pan, which is where I've positioned that oil catch can. So let's go do that now. So in order to go ahead and remove that drain plug, we're just going to take that socket and put it on there and crack it loose. Then you can just use your finger to spin it the rest of the way off. Try to play a little game with yourself here and see if you can get it all the way off without getting any oil on your fingers when it breaks open and the oil comes out. You can just allow that plug to fall into the oil catch can. There will be a screen to prevent it from falling down into the tank, but then just let it drain out, and once it's drained enough, you can go ahead and move on to removing your oil filter from the bottom of the engine. Before you go to remove your oil filter, make sure you reposition your oil catch can so that it can catch drips from both the oil filter, which will spew oil when you remove it, as well as drips that are still coming out of the oil pan on the bottom of the engine that you just removed the drain plug from. Then you can go ahead and remove your oil filter. It should be hand tight, but if not, you can always go borrow an oil filter wrench from the window.
My filter was more than hand tight, so I've gotten this universal oil filter wrench. So this will just wrap around the end of the filter and allow me to get it off. I'm going to put an extension on this so I can actually reach the filter with it. And here we go. Start to turn, so pretty soon should we just be able to use our hands.
So once you get that filter loose, just go ahead and turn it off with your hands. You're probably going to get oil on your hands during this step. Just make sure your pan's in place, grab the filter, turn it upside down in the pan so it drains out. Once it's drained, take it to wherever they store the old filters in the shop and just let the oil drain out of the filter section. So in order to correctly put my car back together and ensure that I can have this car for a long time, I torque it correctly. So in order to set this manual torque wrench, we're going to pull down on this collar and twist till we get to 28 foot-pounds, which is the correct torque for the oil drain plug bolt. So once we get to 28, it won't torque any harder than that, and we can know that we're torquing it to the correct spec. At this point, you can go ahead and grab your oil drain plug out of your catch pan. You're going to want to start it out with your fingers, make sure it's not cross-threaded or anything like that, and put it all the way in until it's finger tight and you can't turn it anymore with your fingers. That might take a few twists, but then once it's finger tight, you're going to go ahead and grab your torque wrench. Make sure it's set to tighten, the tighten setting rather than the loosen setting, and you're going to go ahead and torque it down until the wrench clicks, or if it's a digital wrench, it'll make a beep and a green light, and then you know you've torqued it properly. All right, before putting your filter on, you're going to want to prep it by grabbing a little of that new oil on your finger and just putting it on the seal to ensure the seal on that new filter doesn't tear when you screw it into the filter housing on the car. So now that it's prepped, we can go ahead and reinstall the new filter.
All right, we're going to go ahead and put this on, and tight, no tighter. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get it threaded on there. Just make sure you're threading it on the center. Make sure it's not cross-threaded. It's cross-threaded for me, so I gotta try again. Screw it on. Get it as tight as you can with your hands. And it's done. Finger tight. Cool. So we're gonna go ahead and add oil. This is a 5-quart container. The car takes 3.91 quarts. So we're gonna add until we're right above 1.1 quarts. So right above 1 down here. You've got this little sight glass on the back. So we're just going to go ahead and add till we get to that point.
Using a funnel while you're filling your oil is going to make your life so much easier. Don't mess up in the beginning like I did there. Just go slow. Periodically check your sight glass to see how much left you have to keep adding. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and remove the funnel from the hole. Go ahead and put your cap back on, and then you're good to close up and take the car out of the bay.
To go ahead and reset the maintenance minder, we're going to go ahead and hold down the ODO and the start button. The car is going to come on. You'll see those little dashes count down on the odometer, and then you'll see the maintenance minder click off, and you're good for another 5,000 miles on your oil change. So that's how you change the oil in your car. It's a very similar process for most cars. The locations of the bolts and the filters might be a little different sometimes, but for the most part, it's a very simple process and very easy to do. Here's how much I spent in total. At AutoZone, I spent $39.21 after the military discount for the oil and the filter. I spent $10 at the hobby shop to rent that lift and the space and the tools for an hour. So that's a total of $49.21 spent to change the oil with full synthetic high mileage oil and a nicer filter. During the time that I was at the shop, I was also able to rotate my tires. So that's another service that you should do every 5,000 miles or so. Just prevents uneven wear on your tires, extends the life of your tires, which is good because tires are expensive. So I did go ahead and get an estimate for how much it would cost me to have that work done at my local Jiffy Lube. The cost to get my oil changed at Jiffy Lube with high mileage oil like I used in my car would be $85.99, and the cost to get my tires rotated would be $29.99. So the total would be $115.98 before taxes. So as you can tell, did a lot better with a total cost of less than 50 bucks. So that's more than a 50% discount on what I would have paid to have it done for me at Jiffy Lube. I think it's a really great money saving measure to go to the hobby shop on base if you've got access to one Huge shout out to the guys at the Naval Station Norfolk Hobby Shop. I do not work on that base, but that's where I go to work on my car because they have the best hobby shop in my area. These guys were super accommodating and letting me set up my tripod and film this content. And they are so smart, and they always help me out with whatever I need in terms of guidance or advice or just tips for how to do the work better. So would highly recommend that you use the hobby shop if you've got access to one and you feel confident in doing some small work on your car. Thanks for watching. If you've gotten this far, let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these vlog style videos. I like filming them, but I want to put up content that you guys want to watch. So let me know what you want to see. If you got some value, give me a like, subscribe, and let's keep going on this journey together. Thanks.